Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of my favourite ways to add a vintage feeling to your music, making it sound like it's straight out of an old cassette deck. Whether you're going for a nostalgic 80s feeling, or you just want your track to have that worn, retro tape feel, I'm going to show you how I use this plugin, Sketch Cassette 2 from Aberrant DSP, to transform any song into something with that classic analog warmth. Plus, I'll share how you can actually create multiple versions of the same track with different textures and moods, which is an awesome way to get creative and make more out of just one idea. Think of it as taking your song and creating different time capsules with it. So stick around, because if you're into lo-fi sounds, retro aesthetics, or just want to experiment with analog type sounds, this video is for you. So let's get started. First, let's take a look at the history of tape and analog sound. You can feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps to get straight to the technique. Back in the mid-20th century, music was predominantly recorded on magnetic tape. Reel-to-reel recorders, and later cassette tapes, were the standard for music production and distribution. This analog format gave music a particular warmth, depth and character that became iconic. The slight imperfections like tape hiss, wow and flutter, and harmonic distortion added a unique colour to the recordings. These imperfections were initially seen as limitations of the technology, but over time they became an essential part of the nostalgic sound we associate with music from the 60s, 70s and 80s. Fast forward to the late 1990s and 2000s, when digital recording technology took over. With the rise of DAWs, producers gained access to high fidelity recording with near perfect clarity. While this was a huge leap forward in terms of flexibility and control, it also removed a lot of the natural character that analog tape imparted to recordings. Digital music, while precise and clean, often lacked the organic warmth that analog gear inherently provided. This shift created a longing for that imperfect, nostalgic sound, especially among artists who grew up on classic records or loved the aesthetics of past eras. In the past decade, there's been a significant revival of interest in vintage sound, especially in genres like lo-fi, chillwave, synthwave, indie and even modern pop. Artists and producers began looking for ways to recreate the warmth, texture and nostalgic feel of tape in a digital setting. Enter tape emulation plugins like Sketch Cassette, which allow producers to apply that signature tape sound directly to their digital tracks. These plugins digitally mimic the analog tape characteristics from saturation and warping to tape degradation, allowing artists to bring that vintage vibe into their modern productions without the need for bulky, outdated equipment. It's a blend of the best of both worlds, the flexibility of modern digital tools and the timeless charm of analog sound. Now on to the actual techniques. We're going to be working with a plugin called Sketch Cassette 2 from a company called Aberrant DSP. These guys make some incredible plugins at very reasonable prices, all of which will be linked in the description. There are different stages to this process, so let's begin with the track before any processing was applied. Now here's how it sounded after Sketch Cassette was applied. You'll also notice that the song is pitched down. A quick hack I sometimes apply to the master render is pitch transposing after the song is finished. You will often see this in the likes of lo-fi and pop with slowed down and sped up versions, but this technique is particularly relevant here because pitch shifting can simultaneously reduce the fidelity of audio. The further you shift the pitch of a full render like this, one way or another, the more artifacts you'll get, and the resulting fidelity is typically noticeably lower. It almost sounds like pitching it down takes us back in time. Now let's discuss the actual settings within Sketch Cassette. I've used it in a rather subtle way, applying just enough of it to achieve something along the lower end of what this plugin is capable of. Increasing the value of these parameters can yield results that takes us into the territory of wild, mangled audio that is characterised by the sound of saturated and broken fluttery tape. This plugin can take the meaning of lo-fi to its absolute limits. I'm going to give you a demo of the features here and put up some text that describes the function of each parameter. Here's another example of using Sketch Cassette on a piano to give it that olden day quality. You can use it on all sorts of instruments. Here's a guitar demo. And a synth demo. Before we finish, I just want to circle back to one final point. By using this on your master render, you can create an entirely new version of your song. This is great if you're releasing the likes of a single and want to give listeners the option of alternative versions. It may also lead to increased play count on streaming services, providing more options for more tastes. Be sure to give it a shot on your next release. And so there you have it. We've taken a simple digital track and turned it into something warm, textured, and full of that vintage analog character, all with the power of Sketch Cassette. We've learned how to add tape warmth, bring in some imperfections with wow and flutter, and even explored how to create multiple versions of the same song, giving your music new life and a totally different feel. If you like this video, you're going to love my new music academy, Zeverb. I've just launched a 10-hour music masterclass packed with lifetime free updates, project files, samples, presets, MIDI files, and so much more. You can also join our growing Discord community where you can meet and discuss music production with other artists, producers, and creators. We're just getting started with even more content on the way. We really hope to see you there. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.